right. Welcome everyone. First little housekeeping. Can we make sure we're all muted? Appreciate y'all being here today. For those of you who do not know, I am Larry Nutt. I am the chair for the Greater Downtown Mybor Division. We are going to be talking about sustainability today. We've got some great content. We've got a big schedule. So I'm going to try to launch right into things. Let me share my screen real quick. Hope you're all enjoying the fall. It's been, I didn't think we'd get here this summer. It's been a long summer. So perfect. Well, obviously my name is Larry. This is our division board. We're kind of blessed to have quite a few individuals that are really dedicated to downtown market. If you have any questions about getting involved, we would love to hear from you. Actually, we've sent out a call to action. If you're getting our emails, we're looking for candidates to run for the executive team for next year, chair, secretary, vice chair, and treasurer. If you have any more questions about this, feel free to reach out to any of us on the screen. We would love to chat with you. If you are interested, time is of the essence. So kind of peek on that form. We've also shared it to our Facebook group as well. Peek those forms and kind of fill it out as soon as you can. We'll be kind of moving forward with this pretty aggressively next week. So feel free to reach out though to me if you have any questions. We'd like to thank our sponsors. So Century 21 Sheets, that's our this month's sponsor. Elements Financial Group, Milestone Home Lending, Ray Insurance Group, Home Team Inspection Services, Davis Homes, Meridian Title Corporation, Plat Collective, ATA National Title, and Home Experts of Indiana. Appreciate all you do. The money that they give to us helps us put A, programming on, B, give back to our community, and transitioning to giving back to our community. We raise money every month for the Brookside Elementary. If you recall, we just recently, thanks to Laura and the brokerages who participated, we raised about 500 books, I believe, for Brookside Elementary for their reading program. In addition to that, we collect money every month. The money that we collect goes directly to the school for their Eagle store. What that money does is it buys things like you see in that bottom left-hand photo. That's, gifts. They get points rewarded on behavior, and they can go to this store and spend money and that sort of thing. So feel free to scan our QR code for the Venmo. If you don't have Venmo and you're interested in donating, please reach out to myself or anyone in the chat. Specifically, just put a message out, we'll contact you on how to do that. So before we get to our meeting topic, elections are going on. And while we don't have a representative for any of the districts, we do have one seat that is available to us, and that is the affiliate seat. So we've got both candidates, Julie Catton and Angie Turley, on here. And let's see, I think I saw both their names. I'm going to stop sharing here. And Rosie, if you could have Julie and Angie highlighted, they're going to give us a little information about them.
Hey y'all, you're welcome to just pop on and speak. You can unmute yourself.
All right.
Okay.
I'll go first.
Right.
Oh,
no,
Julie, you want to go? That's fine.
No,
okay.
Angie, you go first.
Good morning, friends. Angie Turley with Fairway Mortgage, running for the affiliate seat for the board of directors. Would love the opportunity to earn your vote. I would definitely love to make a change for affiliates. I've talked to a few title companies, mortgage lenders that really would like a strong voice on the board. And I've never been anything but a strong voice. Sometimes it might be a problem. But I talked to one title company who asked me, to get vesting put on purchase agreements because that would help tremendously on their end. So just some changes like that, if we can help, would love an opportunity to earn your vote. And if you need anything else, you can reach me at Angie@teamturley.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Angie. Julie, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Julie Catton, and I'm so excited to have this opportunity to hopefully represent the affiliate division for MyBor. I, like Angie, I like to look at the good of the whole and what we can do to really make some forward changes, to be vigilant in some of the situations that are going on right now in title, mortgage, and really that affects all of us. And that is fraud and wire fraud and just people's information that is so important to protect. I like to keep that on the forefront of discussion in MyBor, basically, because it affects everybody. I am also Andy Stone, who is the present affiliate director, was very communicative with the affiliate division, and I love that. We had input on what was working for us, what we might need to work on a little bit more as a group, and I would love to continue that discussion and really try to help give value to the affiliates and for their membership. So I would appreciate a vote, and on behalf of both of us, it's closing in. The wire is going right under the wire here. So we've got today, tomorrow, and Thursday to vote. So please take some action. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Yeah, to reiterate that, obviously voting is important, right? And you still have a chance. You can do it online. You should have been receiving communication from MyBor. If not, at the very end of this presentation, will show up. I have Andrew Huber's announcements relaying, and so I'll share the link as well for that for the people who have not voted. So appreciate that. So in efforts to get to our content, let's get rolling here. Let me get this popped up here. So we are discussing sustainability, specifically the Office of Sustainability. And so our speaker is Morgan Mickelson. She is the director of the Office of Sustainability at the City of Indianapolis. So prior to this role, she worked closely with the Office of Sustainability as the climate advisor through American Cities Climate Challenge to guide the direction of recently passed benchmarking and transparency ordinance. She also holds a Master of Science in Climate Justice from Glasgow Caledonian University and serves on the Greater Indianapolis Clean Cities Board of Directors. Excuse me. We're pretty blessed to have her on here, and I think it's something that is a little different than what we normally talk about, but I'm excited to hear what she has to say. The floor is yours. I will mute myself and you can share your screen, and if you have any issues with the PowerPoint, we have it as well. So go ahead.
Great, thank you so much, Larry, and thanks for the invitation to join me all here today. I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen. So using the presentation in full screen.
Yep, it just popped on.
Okay, so just pulling up my notes as well, perfect. All right, so as Larry mentioned, I'm the director of the Office of Sustainability with the City of Indianapolis. And one of our main objectives is to implement what we call Thrive Indianapolis. It is our city's first sustainability and resilience. And it was created by the previous director, Katie Robinson, and it was ratified in 2019 by the City County Council. And 2020 was going to be our year of implementation. As you can guess, that didn't work out quite as expected. But I came on board early this year in March of 2021 and have set my sights on helping the city and as well as our community implement all of the different action items in Thrive Indianapolis. So let's get to a bit. Before we go any further, actually, I want to talk a bit about resilience and sustainability and really define those terms so we're all on the same page. Many people have heard the word sustainability today. You know, it is the act of not over consuming our resources, so we ensure there is something left for generations to come. However, I think that mostly a newer word, you might call it a buzzword, but it's really important in my opinion, resilience. And basically that is the ability for an individual or a community to recover from either social or climate stressors. And that's really important that we consider both social, that might be independent of climate change, but how it also looks like through different climate stressors. So basically in the face of any challenges. Thrive Indianapolis has two overarching goals related to climate change. You've probably heard our goal of achieving greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. That is what many organizations, municipalities, countries even have committed to. That is in line with the Paris Climate Agreement as well. Additionally, we have another overarching goal, which is to increase community resilience by prioritizing equity into all decisions, planning, project implementation, and policy. And so I really see that goal there as how we're going to help everyone achieve a high level of resiliency. And before we move on to implementation, really what we're doing in the city today, I wanted to help us establish a bit further in the planning process that we really sought to understand what specific climate stressors that Indianapolis is and will see in the future more of today, so that we can understand how to adequately prepare. Here, you see a lot of hot weather and rain. You probably won't be surprised to hear that those are the two main areas of focus that we expect to see more of. Hot days, anything over 95 degrees is considered an especially hot day, and it's problematic. That's when we get into the territory of putting people's lives at risk if you don't have access to air conditioning or whatever the case is. We expect to see more of those days, 10 to 15 days additionally by 2050. And that also coincides with an increase in our average annual temperature. It coincides with that, but it also means that our winters are going to get warmer. And so you might see more cold days followed by a warm day. And while that might be nice for us to have a little break, it's actually problematic. In public works, we actually refer to that as a freeze-thaw cycle. And that means that the ground is actually able to thaw with the warmer temperature. And that actually means that we're more likely to experience potholes. And we all hate potholes, I know. They're a big problem in Minneapolis. And even more so nowadays because we have frequent freeze-thaw cycles. When the ground thaws, it actually expands with that water in there and allows the road to break up. And so our public works department is having trouble keeping up with that increased demand of filling potholes. Additionally, an increase in our precipitation is going to be another climate stressor that we're experiencing. You might have already noticed the intense rainfalls that we're getting, where we get a lot of rain in a short amount of time. That's really problematic because our stormwater infrastructure is not built to take on that much water, that higher volume at one time. And so it overflows our system and then everything starts to flood. Additionally, when we have that really fast rain, our trees and our ground vegetation is not able to filter it as easily. And so that's why you see a lot of runoff happening. So while you might think that rain is good to help us avoid drought, in this type of intensity, it is not helpful to us. And so these are two of the main areas that we are helping communities address, both mitigation and adaptation wise. Yeah. As we begin to understand those, we actually started to map out our climate stressors in addition to what we call social vulnerability. On the left-hand side, you'll see a map of Indy overlaid with 12 different socioeconomic indicators. This can be from a neighborhood experiencing poverty to a neighborhood with predominantly non-English speakers, a neighborhood with predominantly renting population, et cetera. Anything that we know makes it more difficult to access resources in our society today, that is a vulnerability. And so we overlaid that with different climate stressors. The map to the right is an example of our hot weather in the summertime. And the squares there actually indicate which neighborhoods are most vulnerable to those things. And we call it an intersection, right? It's amplified by both the socioeconomic indicators as well as the climate stressors. And so through these mapping techniques, we understand where we should be focusing our resources to make the greatest impact, but also because it's understood that these people will be most in need, or these communities. While we're still going through the planning process, I'd like to touch on the community engagement process that was undertaken to create Thrive Indianapolis. This is just a summary of the engagement results that was undertaken. You can see that there was quite a large undertaking of engaging the community, meet the community where they're at, to understand what type of issues they are facing, to hear from them directly, and to reflect that in our report. Over 265,000 residents were directly engaged with through various means of communication, in-person surveys, etc. And then there were also focus groups with specific groups to understand the direct and unique needs that specific groups that might be especially vulnerable to climate stressors. So now we're going to get a bit into implementation. Larry mentioned that I actually came from the American Cities Climate Challenge. That was a large grant that the city of Indianapolis received. We were one of 25 cities selected to participate. And Bloomberg Philanthropies basically hosted now it's about 3-year program to help us accelerate our climate action goals. I'll get into some of the areas that we focused on, but all of the areas of focus that we chose to really drill down into through the American Cities Climate Challenge were already written into Thrive. So I like to say they were vetted by our community. These were goals that our community wanted to see achieved. This provides a really helpful framework of Thrive Indianapolis. There are actually 8 different sectors of Thrive Indianapolis, and this really gets to the resiliency piece. I mentioned that it's important to consider social vulnerability or socioeconomic indicators when understanding a community's resiliency. And so that is why we have action items that span the entire area, you might say, of our community. So we're not just focused on energy next, or we're not just focused on waste and recycling. We're thinking about how public safety fits into this and helps better someone's life as a whole. So now I'm getting into the sectors and going to touch on a bit of the overarching goals in each section. And then I'll highlight a few of the projects that we're working on. And I'm happy to answer questions if I don't touch on anything, if you know about something or want to hear more about it. The environment is the first section outlined in Thrive Indianapolis. And it basically is the need here is that our built environment is responsible for 66% of our emissions within our greenhouse gas inventory. And so we understand the built environment has a really large need to be able to control emissions. And so the 2 goals here outline our overarching goals, and then we have specific action items within that. Within BE1, we have BE1A, which is actually to develop the benchmark transparency ordinance with the overarching goal of just encouraging green building standards throughout our community. BE2 gets back to ensuring that we are planning for climate change and understanding vulnerabilities in our community and planning accordingly. So I mentioned the benchmarking and transparency ordinance just briefly, but this is a brief overview of why we need it. So basically, benchmarking and transparency ordinance will require large buildings to report their energy consumption to the city of Indianapolis. I mentioned that our built environment is our largest energy consumer, and so therefore we need to help our building owners reduce their energy consumption. And just simply by being aware of your energy consumption, you're more likely to reduce it. Benchmarking can also help save money for our building owners. By controlling your utility costs, you're in a better position to save money on your utilities each month. And we hope certainly that this will result in reducing our greenhouse gas emissions within our built environment. In fact, here is a study. This study was completed by GreenLink Analytics, and it reveals that our building owners can save as much as $16 million a year in their utility bill savings that is cumulative by just 2030. So it's not too far away, and we could see significant impact for our building owners, but not only there, 27% reduction within the built environment for our greenhouse gas emissions. And that's significant because that has direct impact on our air quality. Additionally, we expect this ordinance to create jobs and improve public health. As I mentioned, it has a direct impact on the air quality. I'll move on to the next section, the economy. So here we are really thinking about how we can drive economic mobility for all individuals in Indianapolis, while also really driving the green jobs sector. And so that could look like manufacturing for electric vehicles. It can look like anything adjacent, some things that you don't normally think of is just now producing masks and other things that individuals use on the factory line, anything that supports green jobs. Additional pathways, we're thinking about how can we partner with Ivy Tech or other learning institutions to create a pipeline of green jobs to really attract both the individual but the market there to support everyone. So I do not have a specific goal to highlight here, or a specific current project that we're working on to highlight here, but I'm happy to answer any questions to get a little deeper in. Moving on to energy, it's another really important sector within the 8 different sectors. The goal to EN1 is 20% of energy consumed in Indianapolis comes from renewable sources by 2025. That's pretty big. This will entail us working really closely with our utilities to help advocate for a more renewable focused energy mix that we can all access. We absolutely want to advocate for things like solar co-ops and other decisions you can make on your own. However, I really believe it's important as well to make it more accessible and just green the grid in general so that everyone can enjoy the benefits of utilizing renewable energy. Moving on to food and urban agriculture. And the really big goal here is reducing food insecurity in Indianapolis. Recently, our Office of Public Health and Safety did create a new division focused solely on this, and you might have seen some really great work come out of there. And I would encourage everyone to check out our annual report to learn more about that. I'm not spending too much time on it today just because the work isn't coming out of our office. However, I'm really inspired by some of the advocacy work they're doing around food insecurity. Natural resources. This is where we're getting into the more traditional sustainability, environmental focused area. The air and water quality standard is one that I'd like to specifically highlight. You might be familiar with our No Zone program. We frequently, through the summer, if the air quality is not is dangerous for sensitive groups, we call a No Zone Action Day, in which we encourage citizens of Indianapolis to use their car less, to choose alternative options, or to make other decisions such as not mowing your lawn during the prime hours. And that could significantly contribute to worsen our air quality. We also make it, try to spread the message so that people are aware if you have asthma, if you have young children, etc., it might not be the best time to spend a long period of time outside and hold that off until the following day. Basically, our No Zone program, the goal of it is to spread awareness about the importance of air quality for all of Central Indiana. And another way we get out the message is having free Pacers bike share days, where we sponsor the Pacers bike share, and it's free to everyone to hop on a bike and take that as your alternative mode of transportation. We find once you've learned what No Zone is, you'll kind of like recognize that unique word a little bit more and start seeing it all over Indianapolis. And that's really our goal. Moving on to public health and safety. So this is a really interesting one, and apologize if the train is loud, but public health and safety is one area that you typically don't think of as being related to sustainability. However, we have a direct connection between an individual's resiliency and how they can be impacted by climate change. And so we're really doing a lot to help draw those connections for people and work closely with our Office of Public Health and Safety to understand where we can add value to their work. And so the main goals here to increase community resilience through public health. And again, if you visit OPH's website, I think you'll be really inspired by some of the work coming out of their office. Transportation and land use. This is a really interesting one. It's very closely linked with our built environment section. However, it's focused on how we move around the city, really. And so the TL1 there, percentage of residents with affordable multimodal options, that's really getting at basically making it easier for you to utilize public transit. You might be aware that we recently passed a zoning amendment called transit-oriented development. That came out of our Department of Metropolitan Development. And basically it's to encourage more walkable spaces among the BRT lines. So the red line and the upcoming blue and purple, which we're really excited about because we're trying to solve that issue. Like, yeah, maybe you can take the bus to get somewhere, but what about when you get there? Do you have to walk 2 or 3 miles to get to your destination? Or is the location that you're going to right off the bus line and it's really easy for you to access? And that's really when you make those pivotal shifts to utilizing public transit more. So we want to make it more accessible for everyone. Additionally, we have another action item around increasing electric vehicle use. We are a very car-centric city, certainly recognize that and don't want to take cars away from people. So we're focusing on how can we make it easier for Hoosiers to get in those electric vehicles. We know there was a lot of anxieties around maybe the range. Your car doesn't go as far as you want it to, or you're not sure when you'll be able to charge it if you're out and about. And so we actually created a campaign to help break down those barriers. It's a really unique campaign. Don't be a fossil, drive electric. Highly Evolved is the name of the campaign. And we actually have some dancing dinosaurs that come out to events with us that are incredibly popular because everyone laughs and loves to see a dinosaur wearing clothes and dancing around. It's really a fun time if you ever see us out and about. But you can visit highlyevolved.com BeHighlyEvolved.com, and learn about where there are car dealerships in Central Indiana that have EVs. You can compare models and prices as well. You can also learn about where the charging stations are in Central Indiana. Basically everything you need to know about owning an electric vehicle is on BeHighlyEvolved.com. And we're really excited to continue to drive this campaign forward and help make it easier for Hoosiers, people in Central Indiana to get into those electric vehicles. Additionally, when we're speaking of electric vehicles, 9 times out of 10, someone always asks me about Blue Indy. What happened to those former chargers? While they are removed, however, we do not plan to return that to regular parking. We do plan to do something with the conduit that's underneath the ground. So basically each of those Blue Indy charging stations have conduit running underground that provide electricity to those spots. And that's really valuable. And so the mayor's office is currently evaluating what to do with those former spots. There was actually a survey called Reimagining the Curb, as well as that's the broader program. But they asked residents what they'd like to see. There were a number of options, including returning to parking, and residents overwhelmingly suggested not to return it to regular metered parking, but to do something else with it, to provide new charging stations or to provide an opportunity for placemaking, etc. So it's currently undergoing a feasibility study to understand what would work best in each spot, because we certainly don't want another failed solution, right? And so I will also note that if it gets returned to electric vehicle charging, we do plan to have a better charger. It is widely accepted that you need a fast charger in front of our retail spaces to make that trip worthwhile. And so that's another understanding that we're taking into this evaluation. Hopefully soon you'll see an update on that. Stay tuned. And I know everyone within the administration is really excited to share the next steps to reimagine the curb. Waste and recycling is a really big area right now for us. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about our initiative to try to implement curbside recycling. Or if you haven't heard about it, you've wondered why we do not have universal curbside recycling offered by the city of Indianapolis. Basically, simply put, our funding has not been raised in a number of years, and so it's pretty difficult to provide that service to our residents without raising funding. We're currently going through a waste minimization study to understand how we can begin to offer recycling as a service from the city of Indianapolis. And I will also note that our waste contracts are up in 2025. And so we are thinking ahead now to understand how we can integrate recycling into negotiating our next waste contracts. And so we are, 4 years seems like a while away, but it's actually not when you're considering waste contracts that have a lifespan of 15 to 20 years. So happy to chat more about that. And soon there'll be more information coming forward. However, this is the recycling in Indianapolis that we do offer right now. Of course, you can subscribe to Republic to get your own bin out front of your house. Additionally, we have free community drop-off recycling locations. On Indy.gov, you can find the map of where all of those locations are, and they are constantly expanding. So we're always looking for partners to join us in hosting that. And here on the left-hand side is just an example of the communications that we try to push forward, what you can and cannot recycle, and that it should be clean, loose, and dry. Please don't put a bag in there. It's actually a hazard to the sorters at the MRF facility. Additionally, we host electronic recycling events. And this is in addition to our monthly Talk Straps events. Talk Strap is a monthly, it at least is 3 Saturdays each month when you can find the location online and drop off any of your hazard materials. Basically, an electronics event is an expansion of that because TalkStrap doesn't always accept the large TVs and whatnot. All right. Well, that's pretty much everything I have today. I'm happy to take any questions that you all might have, or just turn it back over to Larry.
Thanks, Morgan. I do have a couple of questions myself. So obviously, obviously you're in the Office of Sustainability for Indianapolis. How do you interact with the surrounding counties and municipalities? Because obviously, especially with, you talked about commuting and transit and that sort of thing. Well, obviously Marion County gets a lot of residents that come to work. Obviously it changed because of COVID a little bit, but they come from the suburbs and then they leave. So is there like a relationship with those in the municipalities, or what's that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my work is primarily focused on Marion County because Thrive Indianapolis is the main bulk of our work. However, our engineers and other professionals certainly do. Obviously, our roads do not just stop, right? So we definitely need a great balance of partnership there. I will also note that No Zone, because it is focused, we fund No Zone through a federally funded program, and the goal is to educate everyone within central Indiana. And so our goal there is to work with other municipalities to disseminate that information, because just as our roads don't stop at the county line, the air quality certainly does not stop either. That's a great question out there.
Thank you. Yeah, do we have any other questions on anything?
I was just looking, we've got some comments though.
Yeah, there was some questions about audio, but
Oh, okay. Someone blew it, disappointing that Blue Indy took all of those back out. It was disappointing. However, the charging infrastructure that Blue Indy had in place was really not sufficient for a regular car to charge in the amount of time that you'd be at a retail location. So we're hopeful for a better alternative.
well, if we don't have any other questions, my big one was, you did mention too, actually, I do have another question. You mentioned at the very beginning of the presentation about, temperature increases and that sort of thing. Obviously, the freeze and thaw specifically. Can you talk more about that? Because I mean, most of us on this call are agents who are driving a lot. And so potholes is a very hot button issue. If you can kind of talk more about that, it would be great.
Yes, absolutely. So typically, I recently learned that our typical pothole season would be in March or April when the season started to get warmer, right? When the days were getting warmer. However, now that we have a frequent swing in temperatures, it gets really cold at night, and the next day it might be up to 60 degrees, whatever above freezing, right? And everything starts to thaw out a little bit. That actually allows for the asphalt to thaw out, and the water that's thawing out expands, thus just moving all of the asphalt. And so that is what's created. And then the constant agitation just creates the potholes in which, the road gets removed or whatever the case is. And so there's a joke going around that they're called check holes instead of potholes because they're not perfectly round. But I think that's a Hoosier thing or Midwestern thing to call it a check hole. But just the frequent thawing.
Thank you. Looks like Bethany had a question. What makes an EV charging station on private property accountable? We have friends who have tried to charge at Millhouse, for example, and could not get to it on the weekend.
Oh, that's interesting. Unfortunately, we would have no ability to ensure that the property owner makes it accessible when they're not open. I mean, we certainly encourage private property owners to offer charging infrastructure. I mean, it certainly will make your location more appeasing to someone coming by. However, I am not aware of any ability we have to ensure that it's accessible if they are providing it rather than, the city providing it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if we don't have any more questions, if you would, can you share in the comments the URL for the website as well, in case, and obviously the Thrive overview is on there as well. That was very fascinating to me. It's kind of another version of this, right? But thank you for attending. We really enjoyed it, and we're glad that the transit bill was pushed forward, and we're happy about that too. So the walkability is important to us as well. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. We are also excited that it was pushed forward. All right, I've got thriveindianapolis.com as well as our indy.gov website. On thriveindianapolis.com, you'll be able to find the entire large Thrive report as well as our annual update. 2021 was our first annual update because of the curveball that 2020 was. However, we expect to move forward with annual updates from here.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. We'll share this also if you would like to share it additionally. We post it to, and I'll have Rose here myself send it to you. We have a YouTube channel. This is obviously recorded, that we post it there as well. So if you wanted to share it with anyone in your office or what have you. So
perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. All right. So switching gears back. Thank you again. So actually, perfect transition. The next phase of our meeting here is talking about RPAC, MIBOR, and the foundation. And Doug dropped some information in the chat box. Doug, the floor is yours if you'd like to talk about what RPAC's doing right now, or it doesn't have to be you, it could be someone else if there is another person on the call.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. Unless somebody else wants to jump in. I didn't see anybody else on there, but want to invite everybody to the RPAC Major Investor event at the Foxhole at downtown on Virginia Avenue at Hotel Tango. If you're already a major investor, then you've already gotten your invite. If you'd like to come, we're asking for a minimum $250 contribution. It's not a contribution, it's an investment because it's a political payment. You can't deduct it. It's actually an investment. And I dropped the link in there where you can register. It's a lot of fun. There'll be all kinds of food, and you can stumble over to chili water after the Foxhole if you want to. And frankly, I'm 2 blocks away, so you could stumble over to my house and I'll let you crash. A couple of things that the RPAC has done recently is we've defeated a local $25 permit fee proposal for real estate signs. We've stopped a proposal to require video inspections of the sewer lateral point at the point of sale, which would have resulted in required replacement of pipes if they were not new PVC material, regardless of whether their issues are present. There are some crazy things that come up. We've stopped a rental ordinance in Greenwood that would prohibit a homeowner from renting their house for 3 years after ownership, continuing along the theme of preserving property rights. And we also defeated a $100 inspection fee for rentals in one of our neighboring counties. Focused issues that we're working on now are short-term rental regulations. We continue to try to keep our finger on those pulses with legislatures. Landlord registries, illegal sign ordinances, preserving private property rights, defeating sales tax on commissions and service proposals. That's always ever present. The bankers want our business really bad, so we're always working to keep the banks out of the real estate business, with all due respect to the lenders and mortgage folks who are on here. And one of the hot button issues now is we're really trying to work on housing affordability to make sure that there's a good mix of diversity and things like that. So in addition to supporting candidates, the reason we're able to do these things is because we do support candidates and have relationships with them so that we can have their ear and make sure that these things that are contrary to our own best interest and the interests of housing don't get in the way of our work and the work of making housing number one priority. So if you can come to the major investment event, please do. We'd love to see you. And link in there is how you can make your investment. Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate that. I won't take that lending comment to heart by any means, but
Say what?
I said I won't take that lending comment.
No, yeah.
Too bad.
It's the big banks, not
It's
the
the big
little
banks. Yeah. No, that's perfectly fine. Thanks, Doug. So I think I saw Gabby on here. Gabby, would you like to tell us what the foundation's doing?
I am here. Hi, everybody. Hi, Downtown Division. First of all, I just want to thank all of you who came out yesterday for the Downtown Service Project with our friends at HVAC. I have seen some beautiful pictures from that day, so we can't wait to share those with you. We got delayed by Facebook and Instagram and everything shutting down yesterday, but we will have your photos posted today, so keep an eye on our Facebook page and Instagram page for that. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And so I just want to make sure that all of you know that domestic violence is the leading cause of homelessness for women and children in central Indiana. That's why 1/3 of our funding goes to support survivors of domestic violence and their families and make sure that they have all the tools they need to find safe and secure housing that can really positively change their lives forever. So remember that as you think about the Realtor Foundation, but particularly this month. So put that on your heart a little bit. If you are a Real alum, make sure that you have the Real Challenge on your calendars for October 26th, Tuesday, October 26th. The Real Challenge is a 24-hour challenge to see which Real class can raise the most money for the Realtor Foundation in just one single day. And last year we raised over $50,000, which is just incredible, and it gets more competitive each year. So make sure that if you are a Real alum, it's on your calendar, and if you're not, it's on your calendar, because I guarantee you somebody's going to come ask you for money that day. So just make sure you're ready to give. That's all I have for today. Thank you, Downtown, for letting me share some updates.
Thank you, Gabby. And because I'm the chair, I have a platform for this. If you're going to donate for the Real Challenge, make sure you donate to the class of 2020. I saw my couple classmates on this call. If you have questions on how to do that, you can reach out to me directly. Not that I'm competitive or anything. So last but not least, I have the privilege of being Andrew Huber today because he is not able to join us as he's at another division meeting. So let me do my best impression here. I'm Larry Nutt, and here are the headlines out of my board. So 2020 My Board committee applications. If you have a passion and expertise that could help my board empower members and strengthen the marketplace in central Indiana, my board needs you. They need the time, the dedication, and the insight of members like you to serve on committees, task force, work groups, divisions, and forums. Serving on a My Board committee is a great way to become more involved in the organization and help move our industry forward. And it's a great lead-in for those interested in future leadership roles within my board. This year, we're introducing 2 new committees, the My Board DEI Committee, which is Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and the My Board Risk Reduction Committee. For more information on all of our committees, visit www.myboard.com/committees. If you're interested in serving on a committee, please fill out a form, an application on that website. Members are chosen by the My Board president and confirmed by the board of directors. All applications are due by October 15th, so you got some days to do that there. Broker Bay. My Board Realtor Association has decided to announce we have signed an agreement with Broker Bay, a next generation showing management platform and one of the fastest growing showing management companies in North America. When launched, Broker Bay will be added to the collection of core products and services currently offered as a subscriber to the My Board broker listing, the BLC. And our partnership with Broker Bay will give the BLC subscribers access to full suite of Broker Bay tools that can be used to schedule, manage showing appointments, provide 3D virtual showings, issue and track communications, review analytics, and more. It'll be integrated with the BLC dashboard for ease of access. Managing brokers participants will have access to Broker Bay brokerage dashboard advanced admin queue, where brokerage staff and team admins can audit almost anything that you would like to. It looks like the launch date will be this winter. Ahead of the launch, we will offer training opportunities and sneak peeks and demos and training sessions. Technology training. BLC Tech Training has 3 sensational learning opportunities for October. First, you heard it's coming, and we want you to be the first available group to see the Broker Bay management program. Be on the lookout for sessions coming up this month. You'll find them in the news and alerts on your Matrix home screen if you've not seen them already. Second, we will be introducing a new BLC course to our monthly lineup, an Intro to Remind Pro, Wednesday, October 27th, 10 a.m. to noon. See how this free tool dashboard could possibly transform the way you do business. And third, we hear you loud and clear, and you want the recording from last month's support appraisal adjustments class as a resource. So we've got you covered. You can find it on the BLC dashboard, then tech training tile, then clicking workshop series for immediate access. So if you're looking for the supporting appraiser adjustments recording from last month, once again, BLC dashboard, tech training tile, and then clicking the workshop series tab for immediate access. My Board podcast. This month's episode of Leave Your Shoes by the Door features Danielle Coleman. Check it out at myboard.com/podcast or wherever you get your podcast. Needs filled. Impro. Are you committed to being the top professional? Ready to invest in yourself? And Impro is for you. In the last Impro bootcamp for 2021 will be October 11th through the 14th. Man, October is a busy month. Don't miss this opportunity. Visit myboard.com/impro for more details. And we already discussed this at the top of the hour, but the election, My Board of Directors elections are taking place right now. There are 3 spots open. District 1, Northside, which is Robin Brees versus Laura Walters. District 3, which is the South Side of Brown County, Glenn Bill versus Brad Osborne. And obviously our lovely affiliate seat, which was Julie Cadden and Angie Turley. The winners will serve a 3-year term. Ballots will be emailed to those who are eligible to vote October 1st to October 7th. If you've not received an email about anything, that means that there is no one up for election that you can vote for. Reporting the data error in the BLC. When an error is reported or triggered by the BLC listing service, the report remains anonymous. BLC data integrity and resolutions review the listing for accuracy and reach out to the listing agent when there is an error or potential error. The listing agent is given 2 business days to confirm the data or make it the update listing. So for example, a listing is reported of having incorrect square footage. The BLC staff reviews the listing and the tax record and the assessor card. In the square footage source in the listing, it is shown as the assessor. The reported square footage must match. If the source is one of the other available options and there is significant difference, the listing agent may request to verify the reported data for accuracy, but a change may or may not be required. We already heard from RPAC and we heard from Gabby, and that is all I've got. Whew, that was a laundry list. I don't know how Andrew does it. Shameless plug for Larry. So great. Well, thank you guys for attending. Don't forget to join us at our happy hour next week, next Tuesday at the Dugout on Virginia Ave and Fletcher Place. Hope to see you there. Rosie just dropped the Eventbrite URL in the comments. And lastly, make sure to join us for our next month meeting. We have MyBoard talking about some interesting war stories and grievances and such. So we'll tease more to that later. If you have any questions, though, feel free to reach out. Once again, if you're interested in volunteering, visit our social media channel and fill out the form as well. And thank you all for attending. Have a great day.